This is my EQE 500 from Mercedes-Benz. We're here at Molly's Diner and Restaurant, brilliant food. This car is one of my favorite in terms of its proportions, and that's what we're going to talk about today, the proportions of this. It's very expensive, it's not really mine, but I had you going. Look at these wheels. These wheels look like they are from another German manufacturer. I won't say which one, but you can in the comments. And in here is the best hack yet I've discovered for range. And most people think that the best way to run your EV is to have the maximum recoup as possible, but not necessarily, because Mercedes have come up with something called intelligent recoup, and that happens when I pull this lever and hold it when I'm driving. What that does is the car decides when to use regen and when not to. So for example, when approaching a roundabout, the car will see that there's a roundabout and then use regen. It will need you to brake. If you're just going down a hill, it will freewheel. The result is a lot more range, and that is very clever. Something that I do need to turn off is this tiny little icon here with a speed camera on it. That's a new end cap thing, so that you get an audible warning every time you go more than 20 miles an hour, because all roads in Britain are 20 miles an hour. So I'm going to switch that off right now. Now, we all know that electric cars are heavy, but how heavy would you say this is? 2,500? I mean, what's a Range Rover? A Range Rover's what, 2.5 tons? This is 3,000 kilograms plus 95. 3 tons and a bit. It doesn't feel like it, but if I'm spending this money, I want it to be heavy. Safe road, standing start, 0 to 60, quite nervous, expensive. Let's just plant it. Oh my God, that actually makes you feel sick. That is, what? Let's do some quick numbers then. 90 kilowatt battery or thereabouts, 400 horsepower, 633 newton meters of torque, 0 to 60, 4.9 seconds. And how much are they? Well, hello America. Because in America, everyone can afford one of these. Most people, because the houses are free in America. Here, it's a different thing. £108,000, or on the very popular and world famous Leasing.com, where you can say goodbye to buying about this much. That's fastest speed that this can charge at is 170 kilowatt, which is it's all right actually. If you've got the Ionity ones, if you're in the UK, if you've got the Ionity ones, they're all quite fast. 170 is respectable. I think a Tesla is, up to 250, 350, isn't it? So not as good as a Tesla. But if you wanted to get a 22 kilowatt charger or an 11 in your house, this will charge at 22 kilowatts at home. So if you can afford one of these, you've got one of those eco houses in Brighton. Back to proportions. So I'm 6'1". This is nearly as tall as me, but it's also really smooth. I've always loved Mercedes and their silver paint. It's like it's got a million layers. And look at these. These are the largest. Look at these. What is going on here? Also, I want to talk about the back, because again, it does look similar to another car that is one of my favorites, but I think this is nice. Overshoot here, little there, you can actually see through this, which is fine. Then there's a lip here, then it goes in and then back out again, and then of course you've got these bits of design, but I just think it's just got such a lovely fat athletic proportion with this single strip along the back. And what's interesting here is the reason why these cars look like this is not because of some modern thing. It's all to do with drag. If you were to lift this car up and put it on a ramp, you wouldn't believe exactly how flat it is. And that's all to give you more range. It's just loving these bumps. It's just eating up these bumps. The seat has got so much cushioning in it. This is obviously air suspension. I haven't even looked, but I want to talk about the rear wheel steering, because this is how good it is. When you haven't got room to turn round, or you're in a stupid car park, the rear wheel steering comes into its own. I reckon I can do this in one. Now this is an enormous car. Look at that. absolutely brilliant. It's just from every angle. This is such a muscular back end. It's like it's wider than the front. It isn't. And then it's smooth, but then it's muscular. It's better looking than the EQS and the EQC, and it's higher up, and it's the same price. In fact, it's cheaper than the EQS, isn't it? This, of course, is the Hyperscreen, which is only another £8,000, but money's no object when it's for the kids, because that's why I use this, is because when you press this, each of your children or your partner can have their own login, which won't affect the rest of your system, and they can look for the nearest Starbucks, they can put your next navigation in, or they can play their games or do whatever it is they want to do on their own screen. Look at the quality of this 360 camera. Look at the what they call saturation of the grass. Look how green that is. They've upped that, and there's a nice thing as well, these little crumple zones. So if I go and try and drive into this broadband thing, you'll see that the front of the car will start to crumple to tell me how close I am, which is a nice thing. I'm wondering if it will automatically stop. It's not my paint, but anyway, there you go. And there should be some other moves as well. So that would be the front view. That's the over the top view. If I click that one, where's the different modes? Let's have a look. Oh, look, there's the camera. Look at that. Oh, mate, you get a silver car with the crumple zone. Come on now. That's ridiculous. Elon, mate, come on. A couple of nice things they have kept. Actually, before we do that, this area here is all, I'd say it's a soft felt, but it's even smoother. And then there's felt down this side of the door. Everything you touch is 100 grand. It's 100 grand. Love it. Anyway, when you press your foot on the brake pedal in a Mercedes, it automatically switches on your hold function for your handbrake. That's been the case since about the 90s, when I was, I wasn't even born until 1995. But here's another thing. You have the attention assist, but in this car, the attention assist has moved on. So in the olden days, again, you used to get a little coffee warning saying you're tired. How do you know that? Occasionally you do get an attention assist. In other words, mate, I'm not liking you driving, you need to wind it in. So you get an audible warning, but also now it gives you a little tug on the seatbelt. Wake up, mate. In summary, I think I'd like to discuss why I would like one of these. It really is rare. Is it just me, or is it rare when you come across cars that you actually want? At a time when brand loyalty is diminishing, there are two brands where brand loyalty is soaring. One is Tesla and the other is Mercedes. There's just something really special about this car. Yes, it's a fortune, and yes, it's an electric car, but if there's ever an excuse to get an electric car, it's got to be because it's really brilliant as an experience. So I've been looking for, say, an X5 or a GLE or something, or maybe even a Range Rover, but obviously nobody can get insured on one of those now. Well, actually they can. I did get a quote the other day for a Range Rover. It was £1,000, but that's because I don't live in London. But anyway, back to this. It's 350 odd miles. I'm seeing 291 miles now on 91%. I've noticed as well, when I've tried the most recent batteries in the Mercedes, is that their range kind of just lasts. It doesn't. They tend not to use very much power, which is really strange. I'm not trying to sell it to you because it's a 100 grand car, but it's certainly something to aspire to.